Hello and welcome to a special edition of the PHNX D-Backs podcast right here on PHNX. My name is Derek Montilla. Of course, I am your mayor of Southwest Bias and PHNX. This guy is my very supportive vice mayor. He's Espo's over here flipping me off, but he knows it's true. He knows it's true and he can't stand it. But this is, once again, my vice mayor, the Thunderstick Jesse Friedman.
Derek, we've got one more weekend of spring training games. We've got exhibition games coming on Monday and Tuesday.
We do.
And then a week from tomorrow, we have opening day.
So exciting. So exciting. And what we had today was a day off. And you know who hates that? This guy. This guy hates these days off. He's going to be so sad when spring training is over. I know it. Even though we're two blocks away from Chase Field.
Two things.
Let's hear it.
I'm going to miss Salt River Fields because it is absolutely a gorgeous place to play a baseball game. And the weather has been incredible. Just to be there. Just an incredible facility. The other thing I'm going to miss is our spring training lower third logo that you see on our screen right now. If you're joining us on YouTube.
You aren't wrong.
That
is
sick.
Fire. That is fire.
Is that Eric's work? Is that Eric?
I don't know, but that might not be going away. We might not be going away with that. So stay tuned as to what we got cooking up.
It's not going to say spring training anymore this time next week, Derek.
Here's the thing.
I believe it was Eric.
It was Eric, and I appreciate everybody in the chat saying that I ran away with Southwest Bias today. It wasn't even close. I destroyed Espo. He's still flipping me off. He's coming out of rooms I didn't even know he was in. He's yelling about stuff. He doesn't want me to talk about my victory anymore. But I do want to thank you guys for being here. And a very, very important thing today for us is today is a PHNX Community Day, and we are very excited to be partnering together with a very special organization like Ryan House. And we are very excited for today to be a day where all of our super chats during our broadcast are going to be donated to Ryan House. So if you guys could help us out in any way, we would love you so much for that. And we would love to put some money towards a very, very good organization. For those of you that don't know, Ryan House provides care, palliative care, and respite to Arizona children with life-threatening conditions and end-of-life care, which is very difficult, even as a parent, for me to talk about that. Chokes me up a little bit. But big shout-out to Ryan House for everything they do, and we are very happy to be supporting them today, not only here on this show, but on all the shows today. So we've already raised a tremendous amount of money, and I thank everybody that's participated in that for doing so. But Jesse... First, we gotta get a little angry, I guess, or I guess address some comments that were made. These two right here, these guys, we spent a lot of time yesterday devoting our day to the World Baseball Classic, and it did not disappoint. There was
a lot of time devoted to the World Baseball Classic.
We did. Well, yes,
we were live for 4 hours yesterday.
That was just yesterday. That was just yesterday. I mean, we've kind of been a bit watching this tournament quite a bit. And I don't think at any point did we have any complaints. I think that so far this tournament had absolutely delivered going into last night's championship game. And it was just absolutely an incredible ending for this tournament. And we got some super chats coming in. Mark Solera. Mark, let's go. Thank you so much. $20 super chat from Mark. $10 super chat from Andrew. You guys are the best. Thank you guys so much.
Goes directly to Ryan House.
Goes directly to Ryan House.
A penny today.
Yeah, I promise I won't.
Really appreciate
we're not eating lunch with this one, for sure. But
yeah. Yesterday super chats were just to pay for our meals, but today we're taking a day off from that, just for today.
Oh my God, Giselle, get out of here! We thank you so much. Giselle's the best. Super chat from Giselle for $49.99. Holy cow! Thank you guys. This is already off to an incredible start. Just once again, like last night's championship game it was a blast to watch. We had so much fun doing our live show during it, our watch along.
It was great. It actually kind of flew by.
It really did.
We were going into it, we were a little nervous. Wow, we're really going to be live for about 4.5 consecutive hours. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Really appreciate everyone who hopped in the chat and kept us entertained.
Absolutely.
Although we didn't really need anything to keep us entertained. But we
had a pretty damn good baseball game.
We had a pretty darn good baseball game to watch. Even if Mad Dog Russo wasn't quite as impressed by it as maybe he should have been.
Mad Dog Russo has kind of stolen the spotlight a little bit today, like he does at times with his takes. And he made some wild comments about Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout, just straight up disrespectful comments about Mike Trout. I'm sure you've seen this. I'm sure you've seen these comments. Elizabeth, shout out to Elizabeth for our super chat, $20 from Elizabeth for the ongoing Taylor Swift titles. Let's go. 193 and counting. Don't forget. Do we want to? I mean, we're not going to play his. I'm sure you guys have seen it.
Legally, I don't think we're allowed to play it.
We don't want to get a violation for it, but you've seen it. Jesse, do you want to address the comments that were particularly egregious?
Sure. Yes, I would love to. So first of all, what did Mad Dog say? The topic of conversation was the at bat, and if you watch the game, you know what at bat I'm talking about, right? It is the at bat that ended the game when Shohei Ohtani was on the mound for Japan facing his teammate, Mike Trout, at the plate with literally 2 outs in the 9th inning in a 1-run game. You couldn't have really scripted it any better than that. That's the at-bat that we're talking about. Everyone has talked about, not everyone, most people have talked about how extraordinary that was and just what an incredible moment that was at the end of an extraordinary 2 weeks of World Baseball Classic, which we all have enjoyed so much. But Mad Dog was not as impressed by that at bat as a lot of journalists around the world were. So he basically said this today on ESPN. I believe this was on First Take. He said, "We're going to make this out to be an epic at bat. Really?" He went on to compare it with the Kirk Gibson, Eckersley at bat from way back in the day.
God, old people love that at bat.
Yeah,
so much.
Yeah. Some people are just that at bat. Nothing will ever compare to that moment, which in its own way is fair. I mean, obviously that was an extraordinary baseball moment. But later on, Mad Dog said, "Why? Because they're teammates." And then he talked about how Trout does nothing but strike out. Trout struck out twice in the game. Everybody talks to me about how Trout is DiMaggio. I mean, Trout strikes out 175 times a year, basically making it out to making the case that at bat that happened at the end of the game was actually not anything super crazy. Like, Mike Trout strikes out a lot. They're teammates, but we see teammates face off, in the World Baseball Classic. That's certainly a thing that we've seen at other times. What was so special about that? Mad Dog just didn't get it, Derek.
Yeah, Trout strikes out 175 times a year. I mean, I guess
we can fact check that. I think that's probably pretty close to true. Mike Trout doesn't strike out a little.
He does strike out quite a bit. He is a guy that tends to... He hasn't struck
out 175 times. He's only ever reached 175 strikeouts. That was back in 2014.
Yep.
So that claim in itself...
He's holding on to one time that it happened. But,
but it's fair. Trout does strike out a fair amount, and I understand where he's coming from that, why would this be so special when it ended in a strikeout, which is something that happens kind of a lot. But he's just so missing the point, Derek, because Shohei Ohtani is not just any teammate. Shohei Ohtani is a guy who literally hits in the same lineup that Mike Trout does, right? This is a different situation than what we see when you have other teammates facing off in the World Baseball Classic.
It's unique in a way that you can't compare it to anything else, and that's why it's so cool.
Yeah.
Stop trying to compare it to Gibson versus Eckersley, right? Like, first of all, I just want to bring up, there was a great YouTube show called Heaven Inc., and it was about heaven being like an office. And there was a guy that worked in the miracles department that was being downsized, and he was trying to save his job. So he was explaining to his boss how he was responsible for the Kirk Gibson home run. And he was detailing the entire event about Gibson coming up on 2 bad knees and Eckersley being dominant and the whole thing. And then the person who he was having this meeting with proceeded to put on an Oakland A's hat and then fire him. It's a great scene, but it's the only thing I think of when I think of the Gibson and Eckersley situation. I think that, to be honest, there's a lot of underestimating here. I think Damon or somebody else said it, that maybe he just came in to work today and decided to be contradictory or take this contradictory point of view, because nobody that watched the World Baseball Classic didn't enjoy it. And I don't know how in a million years, if you enjoyed baseball at all, how you could watch the Ohtani Trout at bat with the game on the line, 2 outs, top of the 9th, sure. Like, the only thing that would have made it better is bottom of the 9th, right? Where you could have walked it off, maybe with a guy on instead of it just tying the game. But regardless, it was a huge moment. And it came, like, how often do championship games come down to a final shot or a final at bat? Not very fucking often. Not in this case. Not in this context where it's one game that they're playing against each other. There is no tomorrow. There's no series. Like, everything about this, it's like no one should have to explain to you why it was a big moment. Nobody. And there's no reason why you should have any trouble seeing that. But I think this screenshot of his co-hosts really says it best when it comes to delivering how we all feel about Mad Dog's comments. Do we got that, Damon?
This is how all of us felt, right? It's Stephen A. Smith. And yeah. This is just, there was also kind of a hilarious progression with Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
If you watch the video,
it's like raised eyebrows first, and then it's kind of confusion, and then it's utter confusion, and then it's this shot of him covering his face because he can't believe the words that are coming out of Mad Dog's mouth. But
I don't want to take anything away from like the Gibson Eckersley moment, because it genuinely is one of the best moments in Major League Baseball history. But even then, last I checked, Dennis Eckersley did not bat. Right? I mean, I guess he did sometimes. He had 196 career plate appearances, and he hit 133 in his career, right? It was not that Kirk Gibson and Dennis Eckersley, they were never in the lineup hitting 3rd and 4th together, right?
Yeah,
this is a completely different situation, and I understand it ended in a strikeout. I think this moment could have been even bigger if, Mike Trout had homered or something, something like that had happened. But this was still a crazy moment in its own right. Mike Trout swung and missed 3 times in this plate appearance, which is not something that happens very often for a guy like Mike Trout.
Codify actually has the exact amount of times that this has happened. Per a tweet from Codify, if you aren't impressed, you should be. Mike Trout has had 3 swinging strikes in only 24 of his 6,174 career MLB plate appearances. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesse he did the actually Jesse thing, because that's what he does.
That's
right?
what I do.
Because he did say that, like, obviously 3 swinging strikes in an at bat.
Yeah.
Isn't very
even if
common,
you strike out a lot, you're probably not going to do it by swinging and missing 3 times. You might foul off a pitch. You might take a strike or something. So, but even so, it's not something that happens often at all. For Mike Trout in particular, right? To get Mike Trout to swing and miss 3 times in one at bat is quite an accomplishment. And it was also, this wasn't just any old at bat for Shohei Ohtani either, right?
Yeah.
We talked about his face, how Shohei Ohtani normally looks so happy and wholesome.
It got me so fired up.
And his face in that at bat, there's we don't have it, but there's a picture floating around social media as well. Shohei Ohtani put on a little game face when Mike Trout came to the plate that you don't see from him very often. He also just visibly, we talked about this yesterday, you could tell he was just putting like more effort into his pitches, like just his mechanics. Like he was
throwing harder than we've seen him really try to throw. And he
bounced a 102 mile an hour fastball. Like he was trying to blow Mike Trout away. And it wasn't with the fastball, but eventually he did exactly that.
That slider at the end, though, was a beautiful, perfect pitch.
Yeah.
Mark Solera, another 1989 for Taylor Swift's best album. I got that reference. I got that reference, and I appreciate it. And my 11-year-old daughter also would appreciate that. That's her favorite album. He says because T Swift and Ryan House is the best, and I completely agree. But we've talked about the Arizona Diamondbacks, their participation in the World Baseball Classic. It's been fun to see. Obviously, Merrill Kelly's results left something to be desired, but they actually have had a pretty significant history of having players participate in the World Baseball Classic. Hasn't been around that long, right? Dating back to what, 2006?
2006 was the first one. It's happened 5 times, and there's no pattern whatsoever in the years that they've happened in. 2006, 2009, 2013, 2017, and then 2023. So I guess they were doing it every 3 years, and then they were doing it every 4 years. And then we had COVID, which kind of messed up.
Which we'll be back to 3 years.
Now we're going back to
2026, right? But
exactly.
They've definitely had a history of having a lot of guys, a lot of names here that I remember and make me smile. Right,
just fond memories.
Oh
right?
Man, Miguel Batista and Edgar Gonzalez were their first 2 participants. Miguel Batista for Team Dominican Republic and Edgar Gonzalez for Team Mexico. Miguel Batista, often a name that doesn't really get, I think, enough credit for his time here for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He was always a very, very good pitcher for them and played a significant role in that World Series season for sure.
Edgar Gonzalez, not quite as good of a career.
No.
Edgar Gonzalez finished with a 5.92 career ERA. He had some flashes of being a decent pitcher for the Diamondbacks. Never quite able to get over the hump. But I think baseball fans, more than like fans of any other sport, maybe just love like reminiscing about the good old days with just random guys.
Yeah, there's some good guys on this list.
Like Edgar Gonzalez and Miguel Batista, and like we're gonna talk about Ray Fuentes and like these guys that are like you probably haven't thought about them in a while, and they weren't exactly spectacular players, but this is what baseball fans do, Derek. We love to reminisce about the good old days and think about players who, we're never necessarily stars or anything, but guys who bring back some good memories from way back when.
And it's because at times we embraced and loved these guys, and I also think that it shows that there is there's something about a history where it comes to that. I see in the comments that Andrew said no answers to my pop quiz at the start of the stream. Andrew, hit us with your pop quiz questions. I did not. We didn't get those, so I don't know if they just didn't come across.
I think if you put them in like before the stream starts,
we might not see them on this side.
We can't see them, so maybe that's what's happening there.
But I'll tell you, when I look at this list, there's a lot of guys. Willie Bloomquist, obviously, the coach of the ASU Sun Devils now. Heath Bell. David Hernandez, some big bullpen arms for this team at one point. And Paul Goldschmidt, obviously, still 2017 when he played for Team USA.
There you go.
I loved Martin Prado. He was a guy that was kind of around in my early days of covering this team.
Like you loved him like as a person? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Like it's kind of weird because when I look at some of these names, I kind of think of like covering this team when I first started doing this.
Sure.
And Prado was always a really, really, really nice guy in the clubhouse. And honestly, just a lot of fun. He was just always like, I don't know, there's something about those guys that always try to make baseball enjoyable. You don't see it. Like it really comes out during the World Baseball Classic,
Yeah.
There's nothing more incredible to me than Eduardo Escobar just sitting in the dugout playing a bongo drum. Right, I don't know what the context was. He was just hanging out playing a ball. Like, we just need more of that. Like, baseball kind of needs that, and I think that sometimes baseball needs to get out of its own way when it comes to not like letting guys just be a little bit more loose, have a little bit more fun in the dugout, on the celebrating on the field. Like at times, the Major League Baseball players in this tournament look like they didn't know if they could or couldn't celebrate because it's like, is this okay? Because normally this wouldn't be okay, like that kind of thing, right? So I don't know. There's just something that brings out the best in these guys, and I really hope that it encourages them to carry over a lot of this fun to to their teams, man. Because no one's stopping them from doing it.
Does Miguel Bautista really write poems?
He does.
Really?
He used to back then.
Really?
Yeah,
I did not know that.
Yeah, he used to be a poet. Yeah, I don't. We're
gonna have to find some Miguel Bautista poems and read them on
we got to read them.
That's definitely gotta happen.
For sure. But we hope you guys. Mark sent another $10 in the Mark. You are the man. Mark says, last donation to ask, hey Jesse, want fruit snacks Friday?
Like, do I want fruit snacks on Friday?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Every Friday.
The answer is
every
always,
day of every day.
There's never a time where you ask me if I want fruit snacks that the answer is going to be no. Like, I might not want them right now, but if you're giving them to me in a sealed package that I can take with me in my bag and eat at a later time.
Oh yeah.
Like, you fueled me up for the rest of the day.
They save pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of things that if you like stuff it in your backpack for a rainy day,
especially here in Arizona.
Yeah, you're going to regret it later on, but fruit snacks in my experience, they do pretty well. So, yes, the answer to that question will always be yes, Mark. Not only on Fridays, but on every day of the week.
Well, if you cannot rely on Mark bringing you fruit snacks, you can rely on the good folks at Circle K to take care of you on that. Stock up for March Madness at Circle K. They have iced coffees for just $1.89. Don't pay $6, $7 for your iced coffee. Go get it for $1.89. They also have 12 packs of beer for $9.99. Red Bull, 2 for $5.75 or 3 for $8, which is something I need to remember because I'm totally overpaying at times for my Red Bull consumption. And they also have an in-store sweepstakes right now. Hustle on Malcolm Stewart Rockstar Energy. Buy 2 more, and you're entering in a chance to win some sort of vehicle that I can't pronounce. A Husqvarna? I'm giving it my best shot. FC 450. You guys, if you know what that is, you probably know that I'm butchering that name, but I'm giving it my best. But make sure you're not missing out on all this great stuff and be stocked up on all March Madness long. Head to circlek.com/store locator to find the Circle K near you if you don't already know where that is. But we know where the Circle Ks are. They're not hard to find. And while you're there, grab yourself some Four Peaks beer or wherever you get your beer. They have a wonderful variety of beer. It's my favorite beer here in the Valley. And of course, they are local. So we want to support local. Get out there. And if you get a chance to get to their A Street pub before the end of March, check out their spring training tours. Again, see how they make the beers, see how the ghosts help make the beers, and so much more.
I think the ghosts do most of the work.
Damn.
They work the ghosts hard over there.
Is there like do they get paid? Like do they have to
No.
pay? Oh, that's a sweet setup they got going on over there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, why
see
pay
how that
for,
process works?
Why pay for real human labor?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
Have all the ghosts
just ghost labor. Yeah, just 100% ghost labor. But anyway, they're celebrating our Arizona Cardinals, which of course you want to do with a beer in your hand when it comes around to draft time. So they got the new coach, the new GM. The Cardinals have the 3rd pick in the draft. It's a big opportunity for our guys over there at State Farm Stadium. So the best place to take in this pivotal moment and the rest of the NFL draft on April 27th is at Four Peaks 8th Street Pub. Must be 21 years or older to enjoy, and enjoy responsibly. Shout out to Rob for the $4.99 super chat. He says, I'll send another $5 if you guys both agree to never say the words Mason Saunders on the podcast again.
I don't know. What do you think, Derek? Can we commit to that?
Impossible. Impossible.
I think I could, but I don't know if I trust you to live up to that.
Now, Mark says, I'll bring more fruit snacks for the gold event if you say the words Mason Saunders on the podcast again. And he countered your $4.99 with a $5 super chat. So it looks like we're saying Mason Saunders on this show going forward. Sorry, Rob. Anyway. Speaking of Mason Saunders, we know he's not going to be the biggest X factor on the Arizona Diamondbacks of 2023, but we do hope he has a bounce back season and can be a valuable piece to this pitching staff once again. But we did have a kind of discussion today, and we started talking about who could end up being the biggest X factor for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I first want to qualify what an X factor is. So that would have to be somebody with currently kind of not very high expectations, you would say.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I think of an X factor as a player where like the difference between the floor and the ceiling is particularly high. Okay. And also where you're not necessarily expecting to get that much. If you're expecting a guy to be a 5-WAR player or something, they're probably not going to be your X factor.
Sure.
So you want to go first or shall I?
I do, and I think it relates to the recent injury that we had. I think I think I might have already been feeling like Gabriel Moreno was going to be an X factor for this team. But now I almost feel like he kind of has to be in a way. There's a role, there's an opportunity for him to step up into. And from what we've seen so far, I'm very excited about the kind of full-time baseball player he could be behind the plate for this team. And more importantly, with a bat in his hand at the dish, right?
That's a good point, because it's like before, if he's, getting, 40% of the starts at catcher, 30% or whatever it was going to be, it's like the impact that he can have on the team is pretty limited, no matter how good he is. But yeah, I mean, with Carson Kelly out for the first couple months of the season, it's like, Gabby Moreno's got some runway here to really prove himself.
Yeah, exactly.
And it also makes me wonder, is Carson Kelly still going to get 60% of the reps or whatever that number was going to be when he gets back? Or is Gabby Moreno going to have shown the Diamondbacks that he is already so good that you might want to stick with him as your main guy, and then, just get Carson Kelly in there 30 or 40% of the time or whatever that looks like. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics there.
Now, I am concerned, if I'm being honest, about his relationship with the pitchers and how his sudden involvement now at a higher rate is going to impact the pitching staff. But
sure,
I haven't heard very many concerns about his defense. I will say that the one thing about Carson Kelly is he's like Christian Walker. He's very good back there, and he does it quietly.
He's pretty good. Like, I wouldn't say Carson Kelly is not like the best framer. He's not like the best blocker. He doesn't have the best arm, but he's like pretty decent in everything.
At all of that stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I will say, like, my point being is, like, you kind of just get used to Carson Kelly being back there and doing the thing at times, right? Like Christian Walker at first base, right?
Christian Walker is a much better first baseman than Carson Kelly as a catcher.
You're not wrong, but there's not a lot of catchers in baseball. You know what I mean? There's a limited amount of great catchers. I'm not going to put Carson Kelly into that category, but
sure,
I will say that once you lose someone like Kelly, you quickly notice his absence. Is I guess my thought there.
Yeah, and you also notice that like Carson Kelly wasn't a great hitter last year and hasn't been a great hitter, but I don't want to take a shot at Jose Herrera, but
it's a drastic. The
bat is pretty light, and there's a difference between Carson Kelly's below average bat and Jose Herrera's below average bat.
Very true.
Which hopefully he's able to make some strides in that sense coming into this season. But spring training numbers haven't looked so good for Jose Herrera so far.
And honestly, in the past, I mean, we know that the Diamondbacks have kind of knowingly sacrificed the fact that he's not as good offensively. To work with certain pitchers, like Madison Bumgarner has said in the past that he liked working with Jose Herrera, right? But hopefully that same kind of relationship can be formed now with Gabriel Moreno, especially with the fact that they have no other choice, really. Not a great other choice.
Another super chat from Elizabeth.
What is good?
$49.99. Elizabeth says $200 looks better.
Yeah,
wow.
It does.
We appreciate you, Elizabeth. We also think $200 looks better.
Very true. It's very true, and we love you guys. Thank you guys so much for this. This has been incredible.
We just got to get them all competing against each other, Derek. That's the best way to do this.
That's it. Yeah. ¿Quién es más fuerte? Right now, Elizabeth is más fuerte. What do you got, though? Who do you think is going to be an X factor for this team in 2020?
I'm torn between two guys, but the one that I'm officially going to pick is Ketel Marte.
Oh, okay.
It's a little on the edge because I know that Ketel Marte's floor is relatively high, right? You're not looking at even if Ketel is pretty much the same player that he was last year. That's a decent player, right? I mean, Ketel played 130 something games, was a slightly above average offensive player, not great on defense. He wasn't a great player, but he was a decent major leaguer, right? And I think a lot of people are already expecting him to bounce back offensively, at least a little bit. He's also looked a little bit better defensively as well. So there are some expectations there. What I will say, though, is that Ketel was a very, very, very good hitter in 2019 and 2021.
So good.
The kind of hitter that this Diamondbacks team has been lacking ever since Paul Goldschmidt left, right?
Yeah.
And Ketel was kind of that guy. I mean, he kind of did fill those shoes in 2019 pretty dang well. And in 2021, there were all those injuries. But when he was on the field, he was a similar caliber of hitter. That's something that the Diamondbacks sorely need. A presence in the middle or at the top of the lineup who, 900 OPS, 950 OPS, something like that. That would be a total game changer for this team. And I think it would substantially raise the ceiling of where the Diamondbacks can go. If Ketel is a star, if he is, a near MVP level player, as he showed himself to be, as he has shown himself to be at times the last few years, that would be enormous for this team, more so than any other guy that I can really think of.
Elizabeth is the MVP of the chat right now because she's trying to get this chat together.
Ooh,
so that
we're competing with the Suns chat now. Ooh, all right,
hasn't even gone yet. She's just confident that they're gonna rake it in, and she's probably right about that. But you know what? It's fine.
We had a $400-something super chat on the ASU show today, I believe.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. But you know what? We're good. We're doing well, and you guys have been excellent so far. So let's see if we can push it up. If you're here in the chat, make sure to chip in if you can. It's for a great cause. Ryan House, absolutely outstanding cause, and we're all about doing everything we can to raise money for that. And I'll tell you what, if you were planning on buying me drinks on Friday or a present, which I know Jesse was going to do.
Oh, of course.
Just put it towards Ryan House right now in the chat. Just do that, and then that way we can raise some more money. I guess in the opposite direction, Jesse, are there players you are potentially concerned about not living up to maybe the expectations that we've set for them? Maybe some guys that had a good season last year?
I'm torn on where to go with Zach Gallen because we've talked a little bit about his velo being down.
Sure.
I don't know if I would say I'm concerned like Zach Gallen is going to be terrible this year or anything. Spring training's been pretty terrible, but you don't necessarily worry about that too much. I think that Christian Walker is a guy to keep an eye on. He's looked great in spring training. No concerns from what I've seen there. But I will say that Christian Walker had a really good year last year, like a really, really good year. And I don't know if it's fair to expect him to be that guy again. He literally finished, I believe it was third in wins above replacement among first basemen, behind only Paul Goldschmidt and Freddie Freeman. Like, that's pretty darn good company. I mean, he was better than Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He was better than Pete Alonso, according to wins above replacement. And I don't know if it's quite fair to expect him to do that again.
And he had more defensive runs saved than anybody else.
He had an absurd year defensively, at least according to what the metrics had to say. So I'm not expecting Christian Walker to, take a huge step back. I wouldn't say I'm that concerned about him reverting back to his 2021 self, which was not a good year. He was a below average hitter. He was not really an everyday caliber player. I wouldn't say I'm concerned about that, but I do think maybe the expectation should be tempered a little bit. Like, he might not be a 4-WAR player again this year. Like, we have to at least be aware that there might be some regression in order there for Christian Walker.
This might be recency bias, but I'm a little worried about Merrill Kelly.
That's fair.
I think Merrill Kelly was very, very good last year for this team at times, and I think over the last 2 years he has been Merrill the mainstay. And maybe it's just the fact, like, this is still like spring training, and this wouldn't panic me otherwise, but these were very big moments that we know Merrill very much wanted to be prepared and ready for, and he wanted the ball in these situations. He just didn't have a good, World Baseball Classic tournament. He just didn't go his way, right?
You hate to judge a guy on like 3 innings or whatever it was that he totaled in the WBC. But,
especially when in a normal game, we know that there's a good chance that Merrill could give up 3 runs, 4 runs potentially early on, but then clamp down
go 7
innings and not give up another run the rest of the game and give the team a chance to win. Right? Yeah. We've seen that dozens of times out of Merrill Kelly. So I don't know. I just think that there is a little bit of that concern for me. And I honestly am concerned about the starting pitching rotation if Merrill Kelly remains their number 2 guy. It's not to take anything away from him, but if this team wants to be successful, I feel like, Dre Jameson or somebody kind of need to slide up, maybe not literally into that number 2 role behind him in the starting rotation, but just like as far as production wise, we saw that out of both Dre Jameson and Ryan Nelson last year, that they had the ability to do that. Mark Solera gave another super chat for $20. I think now I have to bring Mark Solera fruit snacks on Friday. I think that flopped after how much money he's donated because the Suns chat needs a bar to climb over. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And you're my oos. And we're going to do the handshake on Friday when I see you. But, last, you had a really good topic from an article that you were writing, which was what is the best case, worst case, and most likely scenario for the Diamondbacks? And were you just meaning as far as like their record?
Yeah, their record, and I guess, I mean, you could throw playoffs in there as well. What is the best possible outcome for them this year? What is the worst, and then what do you see as being the most likely outcome?
Am I being pessimistic or realistic when I have a hard time with my best case scenario being that the Diamondbacks win the World Series? I'm just saying.
I guess I've already answered by the fact that I'm laughing right now.
Yeah,
but,
right.
What?
I mean, like you're giving me an opportunity to think of the best case scenario, and that in my mind is not a possibility. Is what I'm saying.
Okay, you're saying it's not a possibility.
Yeah, it's like it's not even like. So I'm asking, am I being pessimistic if it's not even a possibility in my mind, or is that more Jesse being realistic and impacting me?
In your defense, like I do think it's a little crazy to come out and say, like, realistically, you know, the Diamondbacks could win the World Series. Like I think that's a little out there for me.
Right.
But I will say that we've talked a little bit about the Phillies being a team that the Diamondbacks might have to catch in order to get in the postseason. And the Phillies, last I checked, were in the World Series last year, right? Yeah. And we view them as a team that the Diamondbacks could possibly compete with this year. Not that you're favoring the D-backs over the Phillies necessarily,
not at all.
But there is a scenario that exists where the Diamondbacks wind up with a better record than the Phillies. I don't think that's a totally outrageous claim.
Like my best case scenario is the Diamondbacks win like 92 games.
Okay.
That's my best case scenario. The Diamondbacks get a playoff position, they win 92 games and advance. I think the thing that this fan base would just love is just to advance. Like, it doesn't have to be a deep playoff run, but I think in a best case scenario,
past the wild card
advance past the wild card round, get into a point where you're playing, you're one of, you know, the last 8 teams left in baseball playing for a spot. And,
that'd be crazy.
You know, just that kind of excitement that could then keep that ball rolling to the future. And honestly, when you look at this lineup, you look at this team and you see how young and exciting they are, there's a lot to entice free agents or other guys that might want to play here to come be a part of this team, right? I know the Diamondbacks don't have the money to do that, but I don't know if they need the superstars as much as they'll just need some other quality baseball players to help enhance, you know, their weak points that they have as things kind of, you know, progress.
Yeah. I mean, baseball does have this, like, anything can happen quality to it, which does make it so that for a team that has at least some chance of making the playoffs, you almost have to say that winning the World Series is at least like it could. I mean, it could happen, right? Like, I wouldn't say it's super realistic,
happen. Yeah, right? Like, but it just doesn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you were to ask me, like, best case scenario, my mind doesn't even go right there, which is where it should go for most good teams. Most good teams, you should be able to see some sort of outcome where the result is that they win the championship. And I just don't see that for this team this year.
I don't think that winning the NL West, I wouldn't call that like a realistic best case scenario.
I don't think so either.
I think the best case scenario is you could go deep in the playoffs once you're in the thing. You never know what could happen. But the best case scenario is the Diamondbacks get a wild card spot. I think we can say that pretty comfortably. I just don't. I mean, overcoming either the Dodgers or the Padres in the division would be enormous. Overcoming both of them just feels like a pie in the sky. Like that's just not realistic for me.
Worst case scenario, talking Jake is right, and they win less than 73 games. I don't like that, and I think honestly, anything from that point down is bad. Like, I don't you could say lose 100 games is probably the worst case scenario, like to regress that poorly.
I mean, but based on that 2021 season, man, you kind of feel like, they could win 55. Like the whole team gets hurt. Everyone who you're expecting good things from stinks, right? Corbin Carroll turns out to be a slap hitting singles guy who doesn't really do anything else. But
fucking don't take it back. Take it back right now.
You're not really. I don't really. The D-backs have so much depth at this point that it would take an utterly catastrophic range of injuries and a catastrophic collection of injuries to happen for this team to be under probably 70. I think that would be kind of like the baseline for me. Could they lose more games than they did last year? I guess so. It's certainly not something that we're expecting, but with enough injuries and, a few guys who don't perform like you're expecting them to, that 2021 season, I think, kind of sobered a lot of Diamondbacks fans into thinking the floor can be pretty darn low if enough things go wrong.
There's a comment, get to $300 or you're not welcome back on Southwest Bias from the boss. I was going to make a Bruce Springsteen joke, but then Mark Solera made it for me. I'll also say I own Southwest Bias currently. I am the founder and proprietor of Southwest Bias currently. And until you beat me, I'm not going anywhere. But he's right. Let's get to $300 or else maybe I won't be welcome back on that show or any show. Anymore.
Did producer Damon just drop $4.99?
He did.
Of course.
He did.
Oh, all right.
Let's go. And he dropped a sticker, which is apparently, as described here, a Shiba dog in a combat position. We can't see the sticker, but we get a description of the sticker, which is even better than seeing the actual sticker, if I'm being honest.
Do you guys want to thank me for my service?
We do. We thank you so much for your service, Damon. Damon, we love you. Damon's the best. You guys, most likely scenario before we move on.
Most likely for me is between 80 and 83 wins. That's what I wrote for this site that they asked me some questions and asked me this question. Most likely scenario I think is probably between 80 and 83.
I can't argue with that.
An improvement from last year. Some optimism going into 2024. I think that's what a lot of people are expecting. It wouldn't shock me if it was 85, 86. That still wouldn't shock me, but if I'm like trying to narrow down like a range of 3 wins, 80 to 83 is what I'm going with.
I'm going to go plus 500. I'm going to say that the Diamondbacks will be over 500 by the end of the season. And I feel like that is that's the best that I can hope for. That's the most likely.
Can you give me a 3-win? I need a 3-win window from you, Derek.
Okay. Well, we'll go 85 to 82 wins.
Okay.
Right?
All right. 82
that puts 85. Them right over 500? Right.
That puts them
1 game over 500
that puts
at least?
Them, anywhere from 2 games to 8 games over 500.
Yeah. All right. No, it doesn't. I didn't give you that big of a range. 82 to 85.
No, but if you win 85 games, that means you lose 77 games. 85 minus 77. There you go.
All right.
I was a math teacher, Derek, remember?
I hate this. Anyway, we thank you guys for so much for your chat. All of your participation so far in the super chat and all of your donations to Ryan House. You guys are the best. We thank you for being here. If you haven't done so already, we know you guys all did it. But for those that might be new around these parts, make sure to subscribe to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. Sign up for notifications. That way you don't miss when any of our wonderful shows go live. Leave us a thumbs up. It makes both of us so incredibly happy when you do that. Also, if you're listening on the audio podcasting side, shame on you for not taking part in the Ryan House donations. I don't know how you're probably listening to this in the future, so I don't know how to make you go back in time and join the YouTube chat. But if you know what, independently, donate to Ryan House. It's an amazing cause, and they do a lot of great work here in the Valley. So if you haven't done so already, subscribe to us on your favorite audio podcasting app. Leave us a review. We always love the feedback. And grab yourself a PHNX Diehards membership. You will get unlimited access to everything that Jesse Friedman writes, not just the stuff that's not behind the paywall, all of it. You also get Gerald. You also get Craig. You also get Howard. You get all their wonderful stuff. You get free pieces of merch from the PHNXlocker.com every year you're a member. You get 20% off all future purchases. You get members-only invites to events, members-only merchandise, members-only discounts with our partners, and so much more. Plus, there is the Discord Lounge, which is the best place to be an Arizona sports fan. So join us today over at gophnx.com. Become a diehard now. And while you are deciding on doing that, we know you have some furniture upgrades that are needed around the home. We've discussed this guy at length. I have a dog that right now is ruining one of my couches, and I know it's only a matter of time before I need to go to more furniture. Every single day I'm not there, she just keeps digging. She has to dig
digs.
On the, yeah, wow. She has to make herself a spot on the couch. But before she does that, she has to dig. and the digging slowly every day is just eroding. It's eroding the quality of my couch. So in no time at all, I will need a new couch, and I will go to more furniture to do that. And of course, I hope they have one that matches my other couch, because I don't feel like buying a whole set, but you know how that goes. I'll also get their white glove delivery service. You guys should too. If you're looking for new furniture and you don't want to worry about borrowing a friend's truck, getting someone to help you move, it's a nightmare. That's something that this guy is
one
very
friend
much
that you have who owns a truck, do them a solid.
They hate you,
and just they do. Yeah, your relationship with that person, I already suspect, is not great. So try to try to maintain that relationship as best you can. Buy it at more furniture and leave that poor person alone.
Yep, he's right. And go over today and save big on the best furniture in the Valley when you head to morefurniture.com. Get that white glove delivery service and save a relationship with someone you like. We knew this was going to happen, Jesse.
Before we move on real quick, let's look at, we got our leaderboard.
We got
here.
our donation leaderboard here. PHNX Sun Devils out on top. They had a big donation.
Yeah, stop saying that. Just say they did really good.
No. Do we have to?
Really no.
Should I take it away? Is it taking away?
Without being big loved.
Yeah, he's big loved. Big loves. But it was a big donation. That's really what got them there. Is what we're
records were meant to be broken.
Records were meant to be broken.
I'm just saying.
We're doing all right, you guys. But yeah, maybe we can squeeze past Cardinals and maybe squeeze in the first place.
We are currently at 226. We're 100 down from Cardinals.
We're 100 down. We need 100 more to surpass the Cardinals, and then the Suns are coming up here. So,
and if someone wanted to give us a nice $420 donation,
$420,
we shoot to the top real quick.
Yeah, we'd get
that would be really on the top.
We'd get really fast. But all the donations today are great. We're so happy to be giving so much back to such a great cause. We did know, though, that Major League Baseball was potentially going to be making some tweaks to their rules, and
did we know?
I
did
knew,
you think this was going to happen?
I thought it was going to happen. I thought what we were going to see is a lot of feedback, a lot of suggestions, things like that. But we're already getting that before the season starts when it comes to Major League Baseball making some tweaks to their new rules. Nothing that's going to impact, I think, even the rules too much, but just some clarifications. Yeah. We do know that one thing was a topic that Torey Lovullo brought up that we discussed on the show quite a bit, which was, Carson Kelly making the final out when he was still out there, and then needing to get back as the catcher to the dugout, put on his full catcher gear, and then get back out, causing a pitching violation. Caused a pitcher and a batter violation is what it caused.
It was weird.
That was the infamous, I think it was Joe Mantiply was at 1-1 before they even threw a single pitch.
That was pretty weird. Nothing huge here. I've had some people tell me during spring training, like, I think they're going to up it to 20 seconds with nobody on base and 25 seconds.
No,
I'm like,
nothing that drastic.
There is literally
Absolutely
no chance.
Not.
There is a 0% chance that happens. You're not going to come out and enforce these rules like they have, and then with a week or two before the regular season suddenly change everything. That would just be an insane change to make.
He's standing right there too. Like, I want to go fight him, but I can't. I gotta finish hosting the show.
Us and then just stare us down. Stare us down right on set while he does it.
Anyway, pitch violations were down from 2.03 per game in the first week to 1.03 per game this week. So we've already seen
literally
go down. But there's a lot of things that I mean. Small things that they need to change, because obviously there is the ability for teams to manipulate the rules, and they don't want that. They don't want teams to find a hole in the new rules. They don't want to find a way for them to circumvent the new rules. So when they start doing that, they're gonna add things that are changes or violations to the current rules, right? And that's something that Morgan Sword, great name still. Not giving that one
You
up.
really can't say the name Morgan Sword without talking about how great of a name it is.
It's almost like I feel like I need to clarify that he's not like a Street Fighter character or a Dark Stalkers character or some video game character, right? But he's a real person. He works for MLB. He's very nice. And he was very informative. And he did say that they would continue to monitor how teams manipulate these rules and would make sure that they could do everything they can to continue to keep things fair and understandable. Now changing the ability to review the infield rule, right? When it comes to the
right. You got to have both of your feet on the infield dirt. Previously, you could review a play. You could review the position of any fielder on any of the infielders. But now they've made a change where you can only review the position of the fielder who actually made the play, who's actually, or of a fielder who actually was involved in the play. I don't really see that as like a huge problem that they had to fix, like where teams going to come out and try to delay the game by just calling like challenging like positions of random fielders just because. I
think what it is that it didn't really impact the outcome of the play. They get an out. Like, let's say the team batting gets an out and it didn't impact the play, but one of the coaches notices that one of their infielders had his heels on the grass or something and they didn't call it. And now they want to retroactively like review it because that guy had his heels in the grass, right? At the end of the day, he wasn't the one that made the play to register the out, but they still are like, oh, wait, but he was doing something he wasn't supposed to, right?
Because it's like, yes, he broke, like that fielder did break the rule, but it had no consequence whatsoever on the play.
Right, so we're not going to go back and review that and now give him
we're
a
not going
violation
to put
for
the
that.
batter back at the plate, and or we're not going to negate the out or whatever just happened just because of that. So I do see where they're coming from there. The most amusing change that they've made.
By the way, this is a clarification memo, quote unquote. So this isn't an actual rule change, but it is kind of telling everybody in Major League Baseball that there are there's some situations that we're addressing basically that have come up in spring training, like the pitch comm system malfunctioning and things like that. Just kind of with it being such a vital tool that they want to prove its use in games. Like, it hasn't been approved for the season yet, right? Is that right? When it comes to the pitch clock or the pitch comm?
The pitch clock has been approved for the season. Yes. Pitch comm certainly approved for catchers to initiate the calls to their pitchers. But yes, this is from a story from Jeff Passan over at ESPN. He did say that within the next week, as soon as this week, sources said the league is expected to approve pitch comm for pitchers, which is something that we've seen a number of Diamondbacks pitchers using throughout spring training. Zach Davies, I know, has done it. Madison Bumgarner has been a very vocal supporter. Seems like he's done that pretty much every time out. So yeah, that's something we expected to see. I think it's kind of necessary.
Yeah. So they're clarifying that if with the malfunctions with the pitch comm, that the umpire can give some additional time as long as it's communicated to the umpire that there's something wrong with the pitch comm. So I feel like they're, again, they're trying to make sure that technology is working and useful and part of the system.
I mean, that's a separate issue. If they have any kind of malfunctions with the system during the game, they have kind of a process for making sure that doesn't delay the game.
And a lot of this does seem like in that case and other scenarios that they want the umpires to know that they have more leniency to grant when it makes sense. With common sense, when it makes sense that this situation should allow you to withhold starting the pitch clock until like for instance with the catcher thing, until the pitcher is on the infield grass approaching the mound, instead of waiting, or instead of doing it immediately at the 2-minute mark after the inning like they normally would.
Yeah, there is definitely some leniency built in for umpires to kind of make some decisions with their own discretion in certain situations. The change that is definitely most amusing to me, Derek, is this is also from Jeff Passan's story. He wrote, new standards will be enforced for bat boys and bat girls whose ability to quickly retrieve equipment will help efforts to speed up the game, according to the memo. The league will evaluate the performances of bat boys and bat girls and could ask teams to replace them if their performance is considered substandard.
You mean to tell me that you're going to evaluate the performances of bat boys and bat girls, but not your umpires? But Angel Hernandez still gets to be behind the plate.
Considerably more accountability for bat boys and bat girls than umpires. Yes, that is basically what this is saying. Cool.
I kind of love that.
Great.
I kind of love that.
I have noticed, like, it has felt in some of these spring training games, like bat boys and bat girls have really had to be on their game. I don't know if you noticed that in any of these games. Like, there are some situations where they have to sprint. Like they really have to sprint in order to make sure they get back to the dugout in time.
Yeah.
Because there's a clock. Like the pitcher needs to throw. They can't do that if the bat boy is still running around home plate or something like that. Right. So you can understand where this is coming from. It does feel like something that's probably a good idea. I haven't noticed any subpar bat boys or bat girls to this point.
I did notice one thing. It was when the Diamondbacks were taking on the Seattle Mariners.
Okay.
And there was a ball that rolled back to the backstop. And the bat boy was kind of by me where I was taking some pictures. And he like made his move to like go out there, but you could see he was indecisive. He did not know if he had enough time, and he didn't like want to stop the game, and he didn't know if he could just leave that ball out there.
Sure.
So he kind of like hesitated and then stopped and stayed in their little area. And then my favorite part about it was the umpire kind of glanced over at him, glanced back at the ball, glanced back over at him like, are you going to do something about it? And then had to call time so that he could run out there and grab the ball, because they can't leave like a ball back there, I guess.
Yeah.
Just in case something happens.
Yeah, you wouldn't want the catcher running back to like
slipping on the ball, right? Yeah. Even though you have like the entire coaching staff all right there sitting out on the field during spring training games, which is just the best seat in the house.
Could you imagine though? Like, could you imagine calling like this poor 10-year-old into your office and being like, sorry, Billy, I gotta let you go.
Listen,
you're just not fast enough.
We have to have a difficult conversation. We've been evaluating your performance. Kind of had a conversation with you about shaving down, your bat pickup time there by like 20, about down to 20, 22 seconds max. Your average
20 or 22 seconds. That'd be way too long.
Your average
Derek.
is still up there at like 27. Yeah, no, I know. I don't even know how to evaluate these kids, but holy crap. Good luck with that, and you're a monster. That's all I have to say. I still think it's hilarious, though. Like you said, that seems to be the point of most accountability here is the bat boys and bat girls, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, well, big shout out to everybody that donated to Ryan House. You guys are awesome.
Yes.
Thank you for your donations. Thank you for everything. If you are interested in fantasy football advice, don't ask me. I am not the person to ask. Jesse might be better to ask, but he's probably still
fantasy football.
Did I say fantasy football?
I think you said football. You don't want to ask me for fantasy baseball advice.
I said, Damon, did I say baseball or football?
You said football.
I did say football.
Yeah, I think
no, I'm gonna go back and listen to that. I don't believe you guys, but anyway,
I'm pretty sure you
fantasy
said
baseball. I'm definitely a source on fantasy football, but not baseball. But we got your source.
That's ironic.
Over at Ron. Hey, I've told you, fantasy baseball is a very difficult sport to be a part of. But if you want to get in on your league, you want to dominate your fantasy baseball season, check out our friends over at RotoWire. They have your cheat sheets, custom player rankings, and so much more. Let their experts analyze any questions you guys have, all the wild baseball stats that you need. They got mock drafts. They got so much more. You don't have a lot of time. The baseball season is right around the corner, and I'm sure those drafts are happening. So make sure to check out all the options they have, including their Ask the Expert function, premium fantasy draft kits, and so much more. They also don't just do baseball. They do fantasy football, and they also do fantasy golf, soccer, NASCAR, XFL. That's still football and more. I just wanted to clarify for you. But
I know what the XFL is, Derek.
Okay.
Come on.
I believe you. For a limited time, RotoWire is offering a free 2-day trial to our listeners. Just go to rotowire.com/PHNX to register. Absolutely no commitments. They are so confident that you'll like their product and want to invest in a subscription plan that they don't even ask for a credit card up front. So take a peek behind the paywall, and when the trial is done, you can decide if a RotoWire package is right for you. And also, if you're looking for a fun place to spend your spring break, make sure to check out Octane Raceway and Mavericks. They have all sorts of fun daily specials during this time of the year. You can also book some fun there ahead of time, big groups. They got you taken care of. They have the kart racing, virtual reality, laser tag, axe throwing, bowling, arcades, great food and drinks, and so much more. They got $4 Jameson orange shots, special food menu, including all sorts of March delicacies, including Irish nachos, shamrock pizza, corned beef and cabbage, green lanes, Irish music, and so much more. So spend your time here in March over at the Octane Raceway. Beat your friends in kart racing, and then all sorts of video games. And if you have a friend like Sean DePaz, don't take him, because if he's going to beat you and stuff, it's not going to be a great time. So leave him at home. but take the friends that you can beat. That's why I hang out with Jesse. Winning Wednesdays, by the way, half price arcade games all day long. I can't wait to watch you get beat on Friday in ping pong to just back up this theory. But much like you said to me before Southwest Bias today, don't disappoint me, Jesse. Don't let me down. You know, got Mark. We got. I think Danielle's going to be there. So I need you to step up in ping pong this.
Max is going down.
Oh
too.
yeah, Max. Yeah, Max is on his list. Jesse's got a list, just like
me and Zach Gallen keep lists.
But
like
yes,
that,
make sure to join us out at the PHNX Tea Party this Friday. It is my birthday, and more importantly, we're gonna have a Suns watch party out there with all sorts of fun to be had. Let's hit some golf balls. Let's have some food. Let's have a great time. So join us out at Dobson Ranch for the PHNX Tea Party. And you can get more information on that over at gophnx.com. We thank you guys so much for being here. Again, thank you so much for your donations. We thank you guys for always being here. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at cap_caveman with a K. This maniac is at Jesse N. Friedman. Our show is at PHNX_DBacks. I'm not forgetting Damon. He's at Damon Dog. But of course, all roads lead to at PHNX_sports on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
You better not forget him.
I got to
our own producer gave us a super chat today, Derek.
He did. Not just a super chat, a super sticker that we got the description.
We couldn't see the sticker.
We couldn't see the sticker, but
the description was better than the sticker. So
Elizabeth says, I said football too. Damn it, Elizabeth. I trust you. I don't trust these two guys. But again, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate the donations today to Ryan House, and keep it going. Suns, we got Coyotes, we got so much more tonight. So let's see if we can raise a tremendous amount of money for a very, very worthy cause. On behalf of Damon, Jesse, and myself, I'm throwing Damon in there first. We thank you guys so much for your time tonight. And remember, kids, baseball is fun, but it's so much more fun when you do something great for a good cause.